Hi, it's Dr. Mary, and this week we are talking about how to get out of victim mode. We've been going through the 6 steps in my process of really learning to reawaken your inner goddess. We've talked about acknowledging what got you to this point. We've talked about loving and accepting who you are. We've talked about awakening that inner goddess and actively doing things to awaken that relationship with her. We've talked about exercising your goddess power. This week we're on step 5. This is one that often gives my clients pause because I'm asking you to do something that might be a little uncomfortable. And that is this. It's time to take back your power. And that means taking responsibility for your life. If you want your life to be different, it's up to you to create that, to make it happen, to manifest that for yourself. You may not want to hear that, but ladies, here is the truth. Your inner goddess is a lioness. She is ready to roar. She is not weak. She is a warrior. She is not a victim. She is not a princess waiting for somebody to save her. She is ready to take life back by the reins and drive it. She's tired of being in the passenger seat of your own life. She is ready to create this dream that you have been envisioning. But you can't do that if you're stuck in victim mode. So what do I mean by being stuck in victim mode? I want you to think about your life story. The significant things that have happened to you along the way that made you you. If it helps, write it out. Who am I and how did I get to be this way? What you're looking for in this story is the way you tell it. Is it I statements? Is it he statements, she statements, they statements? How do you tell your story? An empowered story uses I statements. An empowered story looks at things that may not have been ideal and sees the good in them. An empowered story recognizes that it takes 2 to tango, and I'm one of those 2. And even if the situation is bad and there may be someone else that contributed to the situation, I played a part in it. Take back your power. Take responsibility. I want to give you an example from my own life. I'm picking on myself here. When I was in my late 30s, I healed myself out of menopause, which I had been in for nearly a decade, and my then husband and I decided we were going to have a child. After 3 rounds of drug-induced menopause, every single one of which failed, I gave up. At that time, in my late 30s, my story went something like this. He blames me for not being able to give him a child. It's my fault. He makes sure that I know that. Our marriage is suffering, and it's because he blames me. You see this? You see where I'm going with this, right? I was so ready to blame my husband for what was happening to our marriage, the erosion of our marriage. I wasn't taking responsibility for my part in the story. I have endometriosis. That's not my fault. That's not his fault. It happens. That's called life. Endometriosis causes infertility. There's no blame or shame there. And yet, I was living in a place of victim mode, of woe is me, this is so unfair, how can the universe do this to me, why won't God let me have any children, it's breaking me apart, it's ruining my marriage, my husband blames me. I wasn't taking responsibility. And I'm not saying I could have done anything to change my endometriosis. Like I said, that's really not anybody's fault. It's a genetic condition, I was born with it. But as I learned to retell that story, to shift my mindset, I stopped blaming God, universe. I stopped blaming my husband. And I began to tell my story like this. I have a condition called endometriosis. I have not been able to bear a child. At first I was really upset by this and I thought it was very unfair. But I believe that life happens for us and not to us. And so I went within to my heart space and I connected in with my inner goddess and I asked the question, why? Why is this happening for me? Why have I not been able to get pregnant? And the answer I got was, your purpose is different. Your purpose is to empower women around the world. Your purpose is more than just empowering one child that you might have. I began to take back my power, and I began to do that. I began to help women heal. I began to tell my story in an empowered way so that other women could see how to make that transformation. So my question for you today is, are you ready? Are you ready to take your power back? Are you ready to take responsibility for your life? I'm not asking you to go into blame and shame mode here. Self or other, life happens. I get that more than anybody else sometimes. But what I am doing is I'm asking you to look at your life and see it not for how it's limited you, but for how it's made you stronger. Not for how it's put you down, but for all the times it's lifted you up. I'm asking you to take back your power and take responsibility for creating the life you were meant to live. If you want to awaken your inner goddess and reconnect with her, reconnect with that intuitive knowing that makes you who you are, you have got to do this step. You can't skip it and say, I'm done. You can't say, I'll come back to it later. You have to act. If you're not ready today, that's fine. Come back to it tomorrow. Come back to it in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, however long it takes. But know that you cannot move forward in awakening your goddess without taking this step. It's that important. It's time to take back your power. I know it's scary. I know you may feel like, I don't have the confidence to do this. A friend of mine once told me, fake it till you make it. And I have done that on more than one occasion, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you have to fake your belief in yourself to create your reality, as a way to show the world, I am serious now. I am ready to create what I want. It's time to take back your power. If you want to change your life, if you want to step in to this power and awaken your inner goddess and be the person you were meant to be, you have to change your story. You have to rewrite it. No more victim mode. Tell it from an empowered place. Not a blame or shame, but this is what happened. This is what I learned from it. Again, it goes back to step 1. Acknowledge what brought you to this point. No blame or shame here. It's just a, why did this happen for me? Okay, I get that. I'm stronger because of this. I learned this lesson. Now I won't make this mistake again. Because that's the beautiful thing about life, ladies. There are no mistakes. There are mistakes. Universe is giving you another chance to do it over and get it right this time. So what do you say? Are you ready? Step number 5 to awakening your inner goddess. Rewrite your story. Take back your power. If you need help doing this, feel free to visit the website, drmarypritchard.com. I've got plenty of blog posts and free stuff for you to help you do just that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, Dr. Mary at drmarypritchard.com. Be happy to schedule a one-on-one consult with you and help you really figure out how to tell your story in a more empowered way so you can take back your power and create the life of your dreams. Keep the questions coming in. Next week we will discuss the last step, step 6. I'll see you then.